As here we go, spawning in the top right-hand corner of Alkione, we have our Red Zerg player from the land of South Korea representing Mystery Gaming. It is SHIN. Hold on, just double checking. Never mind, my apologies. Currently teamless. I was just quickly double checking, and SHIN did leave Mystery Gaming a week ago. Oh. Did leave Mystery Gaming a week ago. There you go. So currently teamless, it is SHIN. Meanwhile, spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the blue Terran player from South Korea representing Team Liquid. It is Kyor. Here we go. But yeah, I did stop there for a moment because I was like, hold up, where's the logo? Usually SHIN, he's on the clan Mystery Gaming, but is not here. So just did double check, and SHIN is currently teamless, which again is a bit of a shame. Wait, is Bunny teamless? So I'm just double checking here, and Bunny is teamless as well. Okay, I think I was introducing Bunny as Mystery Gaming last night, so I do apologize if that's the case. But yeah, it looks like Mystery Gaming did let go of a lot of their players. Specifically the Koreans. Okay. They let go of the Koreans, but they're holding on to everyone else. They still have Cyan, they still have Coffee. Okay. Cool. Good to know. Cool. Again, Mystery Gaming, for those who don't know, is a Chinese team, and they have branched out, and I mean, they did branch out. They did support SHIN and Bunny for a very long time, but it looks like SHIN and Bunny have since left Mystery Gaming, and the question becomes, are they going to be picked up by another team? Honestly, they're pretty good pickups. I mean, we just casted Bunny beat Dark. we just casted Bunny take down Dark, the best Zerg in South Korea. So if I'm looking at some of these teams from Gamers 8, and if I'm a team from Gamers 8, and if I'm looking at some of these players to pick up, SHIN was a part of IM Katowice, Bunny just beat Dark. They are valuable players. Hopefully they get the support that they need. Hopefully they get the support that they deserve. We shall see. Ooh, as the Reaper does manage to get away. Was a standard opener. Hatch gas pull here by SHIN, working towards his third base. Kyor across the map going for a Rax expand into his factory as well. So standard openers all around. Third base was attempted to be delayed, but SHIN does get it up and running. Does throw it down just in time, and Kyor is going for a third CC before Starport. Economic opener out of our Korean Terran. Do love to see it. Do love to see it. It is going to be an economic opener into a standard game, which is what we expect to see on Alkione. Winding it back a little bit, if you remember, we saw this map last night between Dark and Bunny, and this did infamously go for 50 minutes. It was a very long game, and to reiterate on that, it's what we expect to be seeing here on Alkione. Longer games, not 50 minutes, but in general, this map is large, a lot of bases, very defendable third base and four base setup here. So if we can get past the mid game, then this will most likely going towards a maxed out scenario, late game tech into that direction. Now, SHIN as a player is more of an aggressive player, and he doesn't really thrive in the late game. He's more of a mid game oriented player, so I imagine he's going to want to be in the face of Kyor ahead of time before we can really enter that stage of the game. We'll see. We'll see how SHIN does approach Kyor. For the time being, Link speed is on the way. Reapers are going to be rotating over between the bases, trying to find a way in. Behind this, it is 3CC Banshee. Very standard play here out of Kyor. Very meta. Very safe way to open up. With those Banshees, we can threaten mineral lines and also scout our opponent, just to make sure SHIN doesn't do anything crazy like going for Aspire, going for Mutas, or rushing into any other form of tech. As Kyor does threaten that third. So far doesn't find a way in. Behind this, it's going to be Bio, thankfully. We have seen Kyor. Have we seen him without mech before? Maybe once. Maybe like Cyclones. I mean, who hasn't at this stage? But thankfully, it's going to be Bio out of Kyor. Shin going for his lair. Lair at the third base location. Shin does this quite regularly. It's very interesting. It's a risky move. Basically, it does mean that the third base is more heavily fortified. It does have more HP. But at the same time, it does mean it's more exposed as well. I mean, I guess if you're losing the third base, you're losing the game anyway. That's true. As Shin is going for a lair into Baliness. So a very standard opener out of Shin. Prioritizing the lair to get into fast bailing speed. This is going to be for a delayed 1-1 upgrade. So not the most efficient of builds here from Shin, as his upgrade is going to be a little bit later. But they will soon be on the way nonetheless. Again, just like a safe way to play here for Shin. As he's working on his fourth base, likewise Cure, building up on 3 bases as well. We got our 1-1 upgrade, Stim, combat shields. All of that will be on the horizon. And speaking of tech, big reason as to why there is... I was waiting for the Evo Chambers. Big reason why there's no 1-1. We're saving that gas for Mutas. Spire is on the way. It is going to be Lingbane Muta. Evo Chambers now being thrown down, but they are heavily delayed here. This is a risky move here out of Shin. We'll see if it pays off. Again, the ground army, the Lingbane, is going to be significantly weaker here to make room and to allow for these Mutas to thrive. But how good are these Mutas going to be? That's the question. Ooh. As Hellions are going to be forced back. 3 drones did go down to those Banshees. Good damage, but Cure still yet to scout the main. As you can see, Shin here just banking up those resources, now investing into 1-1. Meanwhile, Cure already pushing out. Uh-oh. Cure's already moving out on the right-hand side. Has his Hellions supports. Is the armory done? It is not quite yet. There it is. Armory is now on the way. With that, the Hellions can be morphed into Hellbats. Tank is soon to arrive, and Cure is going right for the fourth base. Shin out of position. Very little crease spread here. He has no idea. He has no idea that the army has arrived. Tank will siege. Ooh. Shin trying to engage, but it's too late, and Bailey's done already. Oh, we just made a wave of Mutas. That does eat into how many Bailings we can make. Shin is in a bit of trouble. Bailing speed is done. There we go. 11 more Bailings on the way. Sorry, 6 more Bailings on the way. 11 in total. It is only 1 tank. It's not the biggest backbone here for Cure. But there we go. The Hellbats are morphed in. As we did mention, Cure, he loves morphing in Hellbats just to protect those tanks. He's quite fond of it. And here we go, Shin. Oh, trying to collapse on this. Trying to catch the Marines. Mutas, they have arrived. They do get a cross map, but alas, the Marines are in position. The Mutas, they do nothing. Did we lose some? Oh, 4 Mutas went down. And Shin, he's in a lot of trouble. The investment into Mutas hasn't been worth it. 1-1 is still on the horizon. It's about to kick in. And Shin should clean this up. But the question becomes, can we clean it up before the reinforcements arrive? Cure's on the way. Is on the way. Upgrades are kicking in. Mutas, they do go for the tank. They don't quite get it. Second tank has arrived. Marines as well. This position's suddenly going to be that much harder to break. Shin, he's trying to get a good angle, and it looks like, yeah, he knows he cannot break this position. The base is going to go down. Drones as well. Big pickoffs here by Cure. 8 workers. He gets an Overlord, and Shin, he has to go for a counterattack. There's no other way. But we have a tank. We have Marines. We have a Thor as well. Boys are being pulled into Lingbane. Ooh, big mine shots. We're running out of Bailings. Running out of army. Good connections here on the Marines. But at the same time, here comes Cure, and there are no Bailings to defend. How do we hold? How can we hold? We cannot. As Cure, he commits. He gets in between the bases. Gets on top of the natural. On top of the third. And Bailing is not going to get any damage done, and Curie's just snowballing out of control. The Mutas were not worth it. The Lings, they move command past the army. And GG gets called. Cure, he does take game number 1. GG. A solid game there added Cure, but a big part of that game was how sneaky Cure was. He managed to slip around the map towards the right-hand side, towards the 4th base. That 4th is typically very secure. It's very awkward to push in that direction, but Cure managed to bypass the army, get across the map, unscouted, undetected, and SHIN was unprepared. There was 0 banelings ready for that tank. I mean, the tank was able to siege up, the army was in position. SHIN could not engage because he realized that too late. It was too late. On top of that, the mutas weren't worth it either. He invested so that's the risky thing. That's why mutas are uncommon in this matchup. Lingbane muta is more of a rarity nowadays, and a big reason for that is because mutas are so fragile, and you can see that even unscattered, Cured, he didn't even see the Spire, but he kept his Marines back at home for run-bys, and they happened to be in position for mutas as well. The mutas, they did nothing, and Cure, able to snowball out of control. GG. GG, well played. Cure does take the first game, and now we're getting into game number 2 on site Delta. Is it gonna be on site Delta? Let's go. Sad muta noises. Oh god, not like this. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of site Delta, we have our South Korean Zerg player looking to fight back, looking to force the ace match. Can he pull it off? Representing himself, currently teamless, it is SHIN. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the South Korean Terran player, the blue Terran representing Team Liquid. It is Cure. Go. SHIN back at home going for a 15-15. I believe he went for a 15-15 in game 1 as well. Very similar to Raynor. I should say, even before Raynor, SHIN was embracing the 15-15 opener more than any other player. Raynor has since adopted it quite a lot, and we've seen Cyril and Dark sprinkle it into their matches as well. This is a different variation. A 15-15 is usually 15 hatch, then into a 15 spawning pool. This is a pool first variation. Okay, so with this, SHIN will have very fast lings. Very fast lings going to be available, fast queens as well, faster than normal. We'll see if we can get any damage done here, as we are taking our gases. We're not going for a gasless opener. What do you have in store for us? Okay, there it is. Fast Queen is in production. A handful of lings on the way as well. Only 2 lings, by the way. These lings, they should get across the map, and they should delay the CC. This command center should be delayed here by SHIN. That's going to be the goal, as he only invests into 2 lings. Very interesting. Meanwhile, the Overlord is getting across the map. Hasn't quite scouted the low ground. Meanwhile, SCV has arrived. And interesting, so the SCV does confirm the later expansion. Does confirm the pool first. And it looks like the scout is going to be denied. Cure may believe it's a Roach Rush. It's possible. And we're pulling out of gas, so we're not investing into any further tech. We do manage to get our 3rd base. I mean, Reaper is going in, and Cure, he needs to scout, he needs to get a read on what's going on. He's still in the dark. And yeah, he gets behind the mineral line. He's looking for the Roach Warren, and there is none. SHIN doesn't deny the scout, and Cure's in a pretty good position. Like, he saw the opener, he's like, hold up, what's going on? He's like, something is weird here. But he does confirm that there is no hidden tech, so he's feeling safe. He can just chill back at home. Yeah, 3rd CC on the way. Again, I do think that maybe SHIN was hoping that Cure would skip the SCV scouts. And if that was the case, then we can get across the map. But Cure, he saw everything, scouted everything. Really safe play out of Cure, and now I would say he's in a better position. He's able to comfortably get into his build. 3rd CC before Starport. Starport is on the way. We are floating our racks over to kill the Overlord, which means this will not be a Banshee opener. Interesting. Overlord is going to be shut down. But the reason why I say that is because there's no add-on swap. There's no tech lab, there's no add-on swap because the bunker has been preoccupied. So this could be a Liberator-based opener instead. Ooh, never mind. Tech lab just manually being built on that starport. Okay. Alright, Cure. You have my attention. So it's going to be delayed Banshees here out of Cure. No Fusion Core, no BC. Meanwhile, SHIN has been droning up quite a bit, up to 37. Now, focusing on Link production, make sure he's safe against any kind of Hellion dive. SHIN is making a lot of Links, though. Does catch some Marines. I don't know why the Marines are moving out, but they do get caught out. So SHIN going for a massive counterattack as well. Is there anything at him to defend? There's nothing! The boys, they have to be evacuated. And we do take control of the natural. Your Marines go down. SCV is going to be shut down as well. We contain Cure to one base. Very nicely done here by SHIN. Hellions, they do not get surrounded. Good movement out of Cure. Does preserve his Hellions, going to be able to resaturate his natural. SHIN is forced back. And SHIN wasn't able to... No, my apologies. He did scout the main. He barely did get vision. He saw the researching tech lab. And there it is. Spores are on the way. Big scout there for SHIN. Is aware of the Banshees. Spores are being thrown down. Baneless as well. It is going to be Ling Bane for the time being. The Baneless is lined up with the lair, so we can set up Baneling's speed as soon as possible. Double Eva Chambers. This time we don't delay the Eva Chambers, so no Spire. No mutas this time from SHIN. Thankfully, I mean, I'm not fond of mutas myself in this matchup. I mean, I say that. I love it. I love to see them incorporated. I love to see them work, but it's so difficult to pull them off, as we saw in the last game. So much more standard play out of SHIN. Standard, safer play out of him. Meanwhile, the Hellions are getting to the mineral line. They roast up the drones. 4 workers going to be going down. The Queens are in position. We do wall off. Good transfuse as well. Nice body blocking here out of SHIN. And he does catch out those Hellions. Does surround, does shut them down. Still loses 8 drones though. This could have been worse. This could have been every worker going down, but that is still a good amount of damage dealt by Cure. 8 worker kills. Banshees, they do threaten those Queens. The wall is up and running. 1-1 is on the way. And Cure is establishing his 3rd. So we've had a bit of a back and forth, right? Like SHIN, he denied mining from the natural for quite some time. Cure, he counterattacks, killing 8 workers. Has been quite back and forth. Cure did lose his Hellions, which means he no longer has map control. Creep is being spread. SHIN, he has some breathing room. He can happily drone up, freely drone up, and establish his 4th. So SHIN is going to be able to stabilize. We do have a Hydra Den on the way as well. It is going to be a Ling Bane Hydra. Again, the standard of current ZvT meta. Ling Bane Hydra out of SHIN. To be threatening the drop. At least SHIN, he does spot this initial tank drop. Far different from what happened in game 1. So he is aware, he's getting ready. Bailing speed's about to kick in. Bailings are prepared as well. So this push from Cure shouldn't deal anywhere near as much damage. I mean, the Hellions were killed, so there's no Hellbass to support. So this push is significantly weaker. Is significantly weaker here. As we can clear a path here, this creep. But really, that's all we can do. Bailing run by is going to be walling on in. We do have a wall. We had a wall. Oh, did we come back in? The Bailings! They do slip in and they get 2 more SCVs. They kill a couple of bunkers. Not too bad. Supply locking Cure. But Cure is so quick to rebuild that wall. Speaking of, SHIN, so quick to try to go for another run by. Again, leaving very little to defend here, just his Banelings and Hydras. He's not really being threatened. Doesn't need to keep his army here. And he does commit this time with Lings, but the reinforcements have arrived. Oh. Yeah, big loss there for SHIN as he bleeds out a lot of Lings. Yeah, just a little bit too adventurous. And a Cure is committed. He's reinforcing. Now this drop, this initial push didn't do any damage, but it did clear up creep. Like, there is zero creep here whatsoever. Cure, he can push in. This push is, yeah, actually quite terrifying. As I say that, this position isn't as fortified as on Alkyone. Like, there are 3 tanks, yes, but it's still very wide open. He's wedging himself behind the mineral line. Trying to push forward. At the same time, SHIN once again goes for a Ling Bane counterattack, and this time he will get the mineral line. SCVs will go down. Bust into the natural. And he does connect here with more SCVs. 15 SCVs go down. But can he survive? That is the question, as it looks like SHIN is giving up the hatchery. Yeah, there's just too much here. The 4th base will fall. But SHIN, he's already taking a 5th. He's already expanding and going for another run by. SHIN just trying to buy time. Lings, they have arrived. They deny the 3rd base once again. Really only a tank to defend. And Cure, can we break the 3rd base? The 4th has already gone down. Good spread here out of Cure. Oh my god, the tanks go down. But the Marines, they stand strong. God, the Banelings do not connect. With Link from behind. Do we have enough? Do we barely have enough as Cure? He's running out of tanks. He's running out of reinforcements. Down to only man with gun. 2-2 is kicking in for both players. And Cure, he has to push in. He has to break his opponent here and now. He doesn't have a 3rd. He doesn't have a natural. Barely has any workers. Good spread once again, but we're running out of Marines, and it's just too much. It looks like SHIN will clean up the army, will survive, will hold. Yeah, SHIN, he just has a little bit too much. GG gets called. Cure was all in, and SHIN forces the ace match. GG. Oh, GG, well played. A very risky move for SHIN to just double down and go for another counterattack, another backstab, another run by. Did actually break through though. He was able to cripple the economy, catch the reinforcements, and Cure was all in. It was all or nothing there. There was no turning back around. There was nothing back home to turn back to. And he was gaining ground, he was dealing damage, but wasn't able to break SHIN. Wasn't able to break him in the end, and now we find ourselves in the ace match. We're going all the way to game number 3. Let's go. Let us go. Oh, my apologies. I just realized the title wasn't updated. But yeah, I just see some people coming in, and yes, Dark vs SOS was played out earlier. Has concluded, and now we are in our 2nd qualifying match of the night. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Oceanborn, we have our red Zerg player from the land of South Korea forcing the ace match, tying things up 1-1. It is SHIN. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Terran player representing Team Liquid being forced into game 3. Can he bring it back? It is Cure. Here we go. I do see some people asking in the chat, are we casting all of the qualifiers today? We casted a half of round 1 yesterday. We're casting the rest of round 1 today. And we're casting all of round 2 later tonight. Later on tonight. As is being said in the chat, in 6 hours. So technically, we're covering everything today. We're just having a break in between. A break in between the broadcasts. As SHIN is going for a much more standard 15-15, 15 hatchery into a 15 spawning pool. Again, the build last game was peculiar and didn't really come together. It was maybe trying to force an overreaction, or Maybe if there was no SCV scout, we could delay the CC. It was a bit of a wonky opener from SHIN. But this time, something that makes more sense. Yes, I have a 3-hour date. True? Don't know if that makes any sense. No. But I am still in Poland, for those who are curious. I am still in Poland. I'm staying here for an extra month or so. Until March. Then I am coming back to the land of Australia. I miss my kangaroos, Papi. I miss my kangaroos. Ah. Smooch. Smooch. We'll be back. I miss my platypus as well. Yeah. And then hopefully we can get our cams going once again. We'll get there. We'll get there. Meanwhile, Reaper does get across the map. He's going to be testing the waters here at the natural. Is going to be successfully delaying the third base, actually, from SHIN. As he's forced to make his third and fourth queen. Is contained to 2 bases a little bit longer than I'm sure he would have liked. And behind this, Kira once again going for a 3cc opener. So, Kira's going for the same build. Same build, 3 games in a row so far. Same opener at least. 3cc into Banshee, into that first tank push. We'll see if he does shake things up here in game 3. I do hope he does, but it's not on me. It's going to be on Cure. It's going to be on Cure. As Hellion production is underway, we do have that tech lab on the racks. This should be for an add-on. For an add-on swap, this should be for Banshees. When it comes to this early game push, the early game aggression that Kira has been going for, I do think that it can be more successful on Oceanborn. The rush distance by ground is shorter, and it is a little bit harder to defend your third base as a result. So it would make sense here for Cure. We'll see if he does go for it. As Banshees are on the way. Meanwhile, SHIN, back at home, still just saturating his bases. We have seen SHIN mix it up a little bit with muted play, but we should be seeing a Lair first this time. Lair into Baneling Nest, into Lingbane. We could see Roach play on Oceanborn. I wouldn't be opposed to that. Roaches can be quite effective, especially defensively early on. Overlord Scout comes in, we get eyes on the third CC, and we will barely get eyes.
Here comes a new challenger.
SHIN is a diva enjoyer. We do barely get eyes on the researching tech lab, so SHIN is fully aware of the Cloak Banshees. Let's go. Is fully aware. Going for another add-on swap. We have only invested into 6 Lings. Pretty similar to what we've seen before. 6 Hellions, sorry, is what I meant to say. 6 Hellions here for Cure. Just vying for map control. Moving out. And, ooh, SHIN actually going to be greedier. Okay, so every game so far, SHIN has gone for slightly different variations. This time he's going for a greedy response. As the Reaper is going to be denied. So SHIN, he delays his Lair, he delays his Baneling Nest, and he's going for a faster 1-1. This is a bit of a greedy opener, a greedy response from SHIN. It does mean that your Baneling Nest is later. It means that your Baneling speed is later as well. As now we go into the Lair and into a later Baneling Nest. So again, a little bit greedier here from SHIN. We'll see if he can get away with it. Considering the earlier pushes that Kira has been going for, I'm a little bit concerned, but again, we'll see if he can get into the mid game. Aliens moving down the right-hand side. Double Banshee towards the left. Cure trying to drag the queens out of position. Going for the drone kills. He does slip into the main. Gonna get a couple of workers. Gets 2. Not too bad. Gets 2 drones. Doesn't quite take a third though. Again, the queens are in position and these Banshees take a lot of damage. SHIN double expanding, by the way. taking his 4th and 5th base at the same time. And can we get away with it as medevacs are in production? Tank has arrived. You're still building up towards this push. It looks like one of these hatcheries is going to be cancelled. So Curious does at least delay the 5th for as long as he can. Meanwhile, when it comes to the build here of Cure, this time he hasn't gone for that early tank push. He's waiting for 2 more medevacs. He's waiting for the rest of his upgrades. He's keeping his tank at home. So Shin is getting away with this. He gets away with the double upgrades. He gets away with 1-1. Going to get away with 2-2. He should get away with the double expand as well. So Shin has been cutting corners this game, and unlike Game 2 and Game 1, Cure isn't punishing him. Or he isn't in his face. Good target firing there at a Cure. Dust him in. Hellions are in position behind this, and it looks like, yeah, Shin, he is going to be able to collapse on these Hellions. We come in from behind. Bailings, they crash in. We shut down the Hellions. Marines will survive. They will get away. But again, Shin, he is free to just continue to spread creep. He's drawn up to 82. He's on 4 base economy. 5th base is getting up and running. 2-2 is on the way. Shin is looking pretty secure here. And now that he's done droning, he can focus on producing his army. On making nothing but Lingbane Hydra. Meanwhile, it's going to be on Cure to pull him apart. He's going to double drop on the right, double drop towards the left. Can we find some damage here? He's not looking! No! As Cure is not paying attention, we do get some big bailing connections there. The Marines go down. At the same time, he does come in from the left. Oh, he does find some damage. Gets a Queen, gets an Overlord. Does wedge himself behind the mineral line as well. But again, he lost all the Marines here on the right-hand side. His force isn't as threatening. Does get another Queen. Here, reinforcing on the right-hand side, expanding towards the center. Keeping the pressure up. Again, so close to breaking Shin. Shin, he is getting in position though. Likewise, tanks are sieging. Only going to be the 1 tank here for Cure. But a very nice position here is on the high ground. We're going to need quite a bit here to break this. Likewise, Banshee's going ham on these Lings. Double drop is still here in between the bases. One of the medevacs is very low though. We have a lot of spores in position, so Kira's gonna have a hard time pushing in. Gonna have a hard time dropping the main. But we will keep an eye on them. Shin, he has a 3rd force. Moving towards the left-hand side instead. He could try to break this double drop free with this army. Could do so, as both players have maxed out. Shin collapsing on these tanks. We'll shut it down. You're moving out towards the left. Drop comes in. Ooh, medevac does get shut down. But we do unload. Queen does fall, but it looks like, yeah, it's not going to be enough. We do kill 2 queens. At the same time, Kira going for the hatchery. And he does get a kill on the hatchery, on the base. A nice snipe there from Kira. Still has another double drop on the right. But Shinny's had enough defending. We're moving out. Going for a big counterattack. But there are so many tanks to defend. 6 tanks in position. But can Shin get on top of them? Looks like he can. Where's the bio? There's not enough to protect them. The tanks are going to be going down. They get surrounded and every single tank falls. 6 tanks can be imposing, but there was just nothing to support. Instead, Cure, he's committed. Going for his draw play. Hatching more queens. But Shin, he breaks into the main base. Gets into the natural. SVs are going down. Likewise, though, Cure also getting damage done. 6 He was. Getting 14, 16 drones. But it's not going to be enough. We have Banelings to defend. And Curie's losing everything back at home. 40 SCVs go down. The tank? No. We can't be the production. We can't be the factory. Curie at least has a planetary. He still has a base up and running. Did kill a hatchery as well. But SHIN, he's got an economy. That's the difference here. He has a stable economy, has a good setup, taking another 5th. Medevac goes down. Cure did keep his orbitals alive, so he can still mule. He can still sustain himself. But Cure, he's lost his tank lead. Again, he had 7 tanks, he's down to 2. Oh, the Medevacs! Oof. Drops are being shut down. And SHIN, he's running away with this. 3-3 about to kick in. Hive is done. Do we have Adrenal? We do. Adrenal is done. And Curie's stuck in a really awkward position. The problem is that he's sped so thin here. He has to hold on to these fringe bases. He is making planetaries. He is rebuilding that tank count. Meanwhile, the only thing that SHIN is really missing is Vipers. Double checking. No, we have. Never mind. As soon as I said Vipers, I could hear them sucking on the natural. They're fully topped up. They are ready to go. So tech-wise, SHIN, he's still ahead. And even if we have rebuilt some of these tanks, with the Blinding Clouds, with the Vipers, we can still break this. SHIN just has to bring it all together. As he has remaxed. Meanwhile, Cure has almost recovered. Almost. He's back up to almost 80 workers, but here we go. SHIN coming in from behind as well. We get to surround Blinding Clouds on the tanks. On every single tank. And SHIN swallows up the army. Takes down the last tank. Chases down those Marines. Will connect. And SHIN, it looks like he has done it. I mean, we still have a couple of reinforcements coming in. That wasn't the cleanest of trades for SHIN. Wasn't the most efficient of trades. But it's still enough. Yoinks the final tank. Breaks on through. Gets on top of the Marauders as well. And this time he has a standing army. Takes down the factory. Oh no! It should burn down. Just in time. SCVs weren't able to make it. Now, what's a little bit scary here is that Cure, he didn't lose any SCVs. He lost his army. Did lose his army, but his economy is still standing strong. So if given time, he can remax and rebuild. But SHIN should get there first. SHIN, he's already at 200 supply. Ultras have arrived. Vipers regathering that energy. And SHIN, he should be pushing in once again for the killing blow. I want to believe here that Cure can bounce back, but it's just so much to recover from. Yoinks the Medevacs. Do we have a yoink on the tanks? Looks like we don't. But we have too much on the ground regardless. Ultras, they roll on in. Tanks go down. And there's nothing left. GG gets called and SHIN will qualify for GSL. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations here to SHIN. Again, he had a rough start in game number 1 when SHIN tried to rush into mutas, if you remember. He tried to go muta. He was punished for it by Cure's more aggressive style. And then SHIN, he bounced back. He avoided the mutas. Unfortunately, we had to say goodbye to them. He embraced the Lingbane Hydra instead. And despite that, it was still quite back and forth. Like, game 2 was a little bit shaky. Game 2 was a little bit shaky. Forced the all-in out of Cure. Here in game 3, SHIN likewise had a hard time engaging with the main army, just went for these big counterattacks instead. These big committed attacks, was able to catch out the tanks, snowball out of control. GG. GG, well played. I will say that this third game was the cleanest from SHIN, just because he got away with a lot of greed. Remember, he double expanded, went double evo as well. He was able to get away with a lot of tech and a lot more of a more comfortable early to mid game. And GG. Congratulations here to SHIN, as he does advance on into the next season of GSL. And Cure isn't out of it yet. He is not out of it yet. He does have another chance, does have another opportunity. Here we go. As Stats has been waiting for the loser of this series. Again, basically these two players were in Group C. They're all in Group C, but it is double elimination. So Cure, he had a second life. He has another chance. It is going to be Cure versus Stats up next. Oh boy.